Now, it's a bit like Downton Abbey. Have you seen Downton Abbey? When you watch the first one, you've got to continue watching. A Catholic school principal in trouble for being too Catholic. Catholic schools and that extremist sex education curriculum the Liberals in Ontario are obsessed about. What's the latest news? The new episode. Teresa Pierre is from, I've got to get this name right, the Ontario Catholic Parents Advocates.
Correct.
The acronym is OCPA?
Yes.
Whatever. Let's talk first about, well, I'm going to tell you one story that I heard about just last night of a retired school principal who, and I've had emails about this woman, a wonderful woman with a stellar reputation. When she was a principal, she's now retired. You know, she's done all her public service. She said no at a Catholic school to a gay-straight alliance. She said, you know, gay students had to be protected and welcome, but we can't preach against church teaching. There's now a homosexual teacher who's moved on to Montreal, who's taken her to the Ontario College of Teachers. Really? This is so vindictive, just because you disagree, and it's just appalling. However, there's another story, I think, also in Mississauga, of a school principal. Tell us about that.
Well, after the church's document on clubs appeared last week,
let's explain what that is. That said that you can. They're not called gay-straight alliances. They're called
Respecting Differences clubs.
Okay, and it's sort of it's a compromise to a certain degree.
Right. So the
do you accept that
understanding is I'm in favor of the bishop's document.
So you think it's okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So the idea behind the way they want to structure the clubs is that there will be a mentor present who's familiar with Catholic doctrine. That the anything that goes on in the clubs has to be about anti-bullying. Yep. So that support of students that may relate to their personal lives is to be done elsewhere and kept confidential and handled by professionals, exactly. And that the church's teaching on homosexuality will be respected in terms of what is said in the clubs and the speakers that are brought in.
Okay, so just to reiterate here, if it's a gay student, and it could be anyone, if they're being bullied, it's dealt with immediately. There is someone there who understands Catholic teaching.
Right.
It's not to talk about the politics or the culture of homosexuality, but to make sure that the gay person is not bullied. So I would think, in a wonderfully Canadian way, everybody should be satisfied here.
And yet, it doesn't appear to be the way that it actually is unrun.
Who's complaining?
Well, there are students who feel that the solution doesn't go far enough. They want to have the fullness of the lifestyle approved of by their school officials.
Okay. Can I be really bold and bloody here and say, why don't they just get the hell out of the school and go to a public school? I mean, I'm sorry if that appears really, really nasty and unpleasant, but it's a Catholic school. It's meant to be teaching Catholicism. Love, understanding, empathy, but Catholicism. If you want to express the fullness of the homosexual lifestyle, you can do that in this country. Thank goodness you have that freedom. But why not respect others and do it in a public school rather than try and impose your will on a Catholic school?
The sense of what you're saying in terms of the fact that a school needs to be able to set some ground rules for discussion and really can't, allow an alternate agenda to run itself in opposition to that. So, I mean, you wouldn't have a young liberals club and then say that, yes, but anyone who wants to can come in and teach tax cuts for the rich, right? It doesn't...
Well, I think another example would be at a public school, if there was a gay-straight alliance and the Catholic Church insisted on a Catholic theologian being there to give the Catholic point of view at all times. I think that would be rather intrusive.
That would be immediately, obviously, unacceptable.
Yeah, and I would accept that. It's wrong to have it. But why is it the Catholic system has to expunge all of its Catholicism?
Right. Well, it shouldn't have to. And I think we need parents to stand up and say that they're not in favor of this, as they've been saying. Say it to their government officials and say that our tradition will be supportive to these students. Like, we know they're teenagers. We know that they...
Well, so that's the point. How old are these kids who are protesting?
15.
Yeah. How about hello, shut up? I mean, I'm sorry. I know I'm trying to be being a bit facetious here, but if they're 15, we're often failing them.
What happens if you tell a teenager to shut up, Michael?
Well, no, I'm sorry. I believe in decent parenting. I have 4 kids, and I love them, and they love me. But a 15-year-old goes to school. I don't want a 15-year-old. They're not old enough to fight for this country, to vote, to drink, to be sexually active, but they're deciding the policy of the Catholic school system.
No, you're right.
They're watching Gossip Girls and Pretty Little Liars. I don't care what they think particularly.
And that can't happen. But we do, in any family, we have people who have a little bit of hard time adjusting to the situation from time to time.
Right.
So I am in favor of extending to these students the belief that they're supported, but
Teresa, you know better than I do that many of these people are not members of a family. They're not Catholic. They're there because they're from an Italian background, Portuguese background, Easter, whatever it is. They're there for cultural reasons. They go to that school. Most of these kids never go to Mass. They don't know what Catholic teaching is, but they're influenced by TV to know that it's very, very important to be incredibly pro-gay. That's what this is about.
Well, we need to be reaching out to people on a personal level and speaking to them, I think.
Not sure what that means, actually.
Well, if these students are in the system, we have a responsibility to treat them in a loving and firm way, and you have to ride that balance.
I agree completely, loving and firm.
And firm, definitely.
But you mentioned about young liberals. I mean, I don't think that
but I think
an NDP
that the
activist has.
Need to feel
I don't think an
supported.
NDP activist has a right to go to a Conservative Party conference and demand policy changes.
Exactly, I agree.
What you said at the end there, the Bishop's statement is a good one. I think the compromise is an incredibly healthy and Canadian one. Is the Church, are the bishops supporting those Catholic school principals who are standing up to this intrusion?
Well, I'm afraid that I can't see into the future.
I mean, now.
Well enough to answer that question.
Are they doing it now?
Well, I would say that the principal in Mississauga that we are talking about has been incredibly firm.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of how that situation is being handled.
Are these people being supported, though, by church officials?
Well, I really could. I'm sorry, but I can't answer that question.
Because you won't or you can't?
Can't.
Oh, okay. I just wondered.
Yeah,
I just wondered.
Yeah.
Got to push you a bit, you know.
Go right ahead.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
I wish I could help.